Hi, thanks for finding this video. This is part 3 of the series about fear, and it's called Faith is Your Friend and Ego is No Amigo. In my previous posts in this series, I've talked about fear, hope and faith. I've explained why we need more than hope, and my conclusion that faith is the most powerful antidote to fear. Now it's time to peel off a few more layers of onion skin to understand where and how we can use faith, if that's what we choose. What we know and what we believe is faith. Faith can move mountains. Our problem is that we think too much and we know too little. Yet the truth is that we know a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. Our problem, if it is that we are blocking our source of universal knowledge and making life a lot more difficult than it need be. Within the conscious mind lies the ego. It's the least important part of our brain and yet believes just the opposite. Ego is vain, pompous, over-controlling, prejudiced and unbelievably stupid. Ego also possesses the intellectual arrogance to take our pure abstract thoughts, which are developed from our unconscious mind, corrupt their essence and present them to the outside world as indisputable facts. Therefore, it's not surprising that these facts further reinforce the prejudices of the ego. These prejudices present the ego to the outside world as the subject matter expert on anything and everything. We all know people like this, don't we? And one of them stares back at us from the mirror every day. So it's next to impossible to have no ego, but fortunately just turning down the ego volume a bit can make a huge difference to our life. Egos are a stumbling block, especially for anybody who desires to perform at a very high level in their chosen field. The reason is that when we allow our ego to dominate our brain, we know inside that we're being an imposter. We know things are nowhere near as clear as we pretend them to be. We're frightened of our deluded views being challenged. We suspect that people despise us, which encourages the ego to take even greater control of our thoughts. The ego knows how to use fear to suppress other more positive thoughts. Ego is not our amigo. Therefore, it cannot come as any surprise that almost all people fear performing in public, whether in the business, sport, creative, or even the social sphere. No wonder that performance anxiety is so common and so difficult to treat. However, fortunately, it's not impossible. My challenge today is a huge one. This message is for anybody who suffers from anxiety, particularly those people who have passion about their work and who want nothing more than to share their passion with others, yet are so fearful of what the consequences might be. It's for those people who think they are not good enough. It's for those people who feel weighed down by guilt, and it is for those people who know there's a smarter way to live, and yet can't put their finger on exactly what this smarter way might be. A large part of my work with clients revolves around peak performance and the concept of flow. Many of these clients struggle with performance anxiety. They are typically world-class in practice and yet struggle in front of the audiences, cameras, microphones, or when displaying their books or works of art to others. What they do share in common is that they believe it's all about them. They have been conditioned by their coaches, their many coaches, to think that they are responsible for their performance. When this does not meet their high personal expectations, they beat themselves up, which eats away at their confidence until sooner or later they spiral into despair. However, many of my clients do go on to massively exceed their expectations, but they don't know how or why. And I try to find different metaphors to explain these results and why they happen. I talk about being in the zone, about magic, about luck, about intuition, and even about quantum theory, although probably not very impressively. Yet I've never convinced myself that I've explained the unexplainable adequately. Part of me says, Steve, leave it there. We do not need explanations for everything. As long as my clients are happy, why should I worry? The other part of me is not satisfied with this Zen approach, because I want more of my clients to achieve this level of elite performance, and if I can explain the magic ingredient, it'll help them perform beyond their dreams. So here is yet another of my attempts to explain the unexplainable. If we believe our performance is entirely up to us, it's perfectly understandable why we should suffer from performance anxiety. It is because we know deep down that we're hardly in control of anything, let alone our performance under pressure. If, however, we believe it is all up to us, then life will also get very lonely. But what if we could believe that some other person or thing is totally in charge of our performance, and all we have to do is turn up on time with our head in the right place and just let things happen? Well, this revelation hit me about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's changed my life. In my previous career, I'd been rewarded handsomely for meticulous planning, analysis, and a dogged determination to get results, irrespective of the cost to me. But not anymore. And it's not surprising that my life is a lot less stressful. But what is surprising is that however you choose to measure success, it's been a pretty good ride so far. An example perhaps of less is more. Now it's time for the big reveal, and I hope it's not going to be an anticlimax. My conclusion is just one sentence. It's the critical importance of recognizing the difference between thinking and knowing. Thinking and knowing, because there's a world of difference between thinking and knowing. Grasping this difference between thinking and knowing will turn your world upside down. What you previously thought was difficult will now become much easier and natural. Life choices that were previously confusing will now be obvious decisions which require little thought, because you know what is the right thing to do. Situations that previously filled you with anxiety, you will now relish with excitement. I've already described how and why the ego hijacks our abstract thoughts and destroys them. Fortunately for us, the ego is not all-powerful, even though it believes itself to be. Because the enemy of the ego is the unconscious mind, which is far more powerful. The unconscious mind can take these same creative, abstract thoughts, and rather than destroying them, it processes them without distortion. These thoughts travel to our conscious mind, bypassing completely the ego. Then we start to know stuff, rather than think that we know stuff. We all have gut feelings, we have epiphany moments, we have mind pops, call them what you will. What happens when we have these feelings is that we've connected to our intuition, and intuition is our ever-present GPS guiding us through life. All we have to do is know it's there and follow its messages. These messages will be simple and not complicated. We will not need to overthink situations because we will know what we have to do. When we know things, there's no associated anxiety, because who would be nervous about the simple truth? So when we watch athletes in the zone perform out of their skin and post personal bests, we recognize that they're performing without inhibition and almost unaware of the rest of the world. They are performing inside a bubble that protects them, fills them with confidence, and does not allow the ego to enter. So the big question is, how can we learn to live inside our bubble? Well, if we see ourselves as the center of the universe, it'll be impossible. However, if we know that there are higher powers that we can draw upon, then it becomes a lot easier. So where do these higher powers come? Well, unless there's a dimension that has not yet been described by science, and there almost certainly is, then there can only be two other possibilities. Now, this will be the subject of my next blog. Please be patient because for the next few days to allow me to get my thoughts together. But I hinted before at an infinite intelligence, and this is a taste that I mentioned in my last post as well from Thomas Edison. I know this world is ruled by infinite intelligence. Everything that surrounds us, everything that exists, proves that there are infinite laws behind it. There can be no denying this fact. It's mathematical in its precision. So said Edison. I've got plenty of work and thinking to do over the next few days. I just hope that I know what's going to work. So thanks for your patience again, and see you soon. Same place, same time, same channel. Bye-bye.